Hey everyone, this is Matt, and you are watching TV Punch for Sunday, October 11th. And today I'm going to be talking about the season 4 premiere of Arrow. This was a fantastic episode. There's a lot of awesome stuff to talk about, so let me go ahead and say be careful for spoilers. If you haven't watched it yet, pause this, go watch it, come back. You'll be glad you did. But I loved this episode. I'm going to get right into it. I actually had to make some notes. There was so much stuff, and they're right here in front of me, so if you see me looking down, I just didn't want to miss anything. I make notes for most of the stuff, most of the videos I do, but this one, there's quite a few things. If you can't tell, I'm really excited about it. I watched it twice. I thought it was really great. I probably thought it was better than all of Season 3 combined, even though, I mean, Season 3 was okay, but it wasn't up to the same standards of awesomeness as Arrow is accustomed to, but this episode sort of brought that back. The ratings for this were the highest for Arrow since the very first episode of season 1. So if that tells you anything. So I loved the sort of back and forth shots between domesticated Oliver and Felicity and Team Arrow. Oliver and Felicity are all happy living in suburbia, and Team Arrow is in Star City trying to take down this new organization of bad guys. They call these guys the Ghosts because they vanish like ghosts is the explanation that we're given. Apparently they're real bad dudes. They have cyanide pills in their teeth, and they'd rather kill themselves than be caught and questioned. This season did not waste any time whatsoever getting right into the action. Now, I'm not all about action. I mean, I like a good story, and if that involves action or not, that's fine. But I mean, this didn't waste any time at all. I mean, within the first few minutes, we've got Team Arrow taking down a team of ghosts trying to rob a Cord Industries truck full of weapons. There was a lot of mentions to Cord Industries in this. I don't know if I kind of hope they do make it sort of a staple in Star City. I don't think we'll ever see Ted Cord, a.k.a. the Blue Beetle. Apparently he's wrapped up in movie rights, which doesn't make any sense if they're trying to keep the TV universe and the movie universe separate. Why can't they interchange characters? But whatever. We've got enough awesome characters coming up soon. But they do reference Cord Industries a lot, and we do get to see Team Arrow, which consists of, at this point, Thea as Speedy, or as she wants to be called, Red Arrow. We've got Laurel as Black Canary, and she looks like she's sort of coming into her own. And then Diggle as an unnamed, although he is going to get a name, but an unnamed crime fighter, if you will. He's got, everybody's seen the helmet, which actually does look a lot better in motion than it did in those first couple of publicity shots. I'm glad to say that. But as we're seeing this, it keeps cutting back to Oliver and Felicity in their house having lunch with the neighbors. Apparently, Oliver is going to propose to Felicity, and right at the point he's about to do it, Laurel and Thea come in and say that they need his help. They can't handle the ghosts on their own. Diggle is not very happy with that in the least. He still hasn't forgiven Oliver for kidnapping Lila towards the end of last season, but even though Lila has, which is kind of strange, but I think he's going to get there at some point. But they come in asking for help. Oliver is really hesitant to do it, but of course Felicity is all about it, and of course we find out just a little bit later that she's secretly been helping Team Arrow without Oliver knowing. She's been helping them just sort of track down leads and things like that. He's not really mad at her for that, but he is a little taken aback, I guess, because he thought that they were enjoying this new quiet life of theirs together, which is a really, really nice role reversal, because it's Felicity who is the one who admits that she's kind of bored with that life, and she enjoys working with a team, taking down bad guys, and helping people. Whereas Oliver doesn't want any part of that. He's totally fine being away from that. I thought that was a really, really great role reversal. Normally, it's the hero, the big hero, who can't rest, who can't settle down, who needs to get back in the action. But this time, Oliver's totally fine with that. If Thea and Laurel had never come back to asking for help, Oliver would have never even thought twice about going back to Star City and crime fighting again. So props to the writers for making Felicity sort of that strong character again. Her character in season 3 was not very, it's not that she wasn't likable, but she was actually pretty annoying. She cried all the time, and she wasn't as strong as she was. And in this one, she absolutely is. She's the one that tells Oliver they do need to go back and help. Just great role reversal, great characterization of Felicity. outside of all that, we get Neil McDonough as Damien Dark. The great thing about this is that we're introduced to him within 10 to 15 minutes of the episode starting. Normally, it takes several episodes for us to get introduced to the big bad, but not this time. And he's, what I like, or at least what it seems like, is it seems like he is just a bad dude just for the sake of being a bad dude. So, with Malcolm, he was a bad guy, but it was tragic because his wife died, and he had motivation for wanting to destroy the Glades. With Slade, started out being a pretty cool guy, but with the death of Shadok and the Mirakuru kind of pushed him over the edge. With Raish, he was kind of a bad guy. He was head of the League of Assassins, but he was very calm. He wasn't super menacing. He was if he needed to be, but he was still likable. Damien Dark just seems like he's a bad guy, and he just wants to destroy Star City. His motivation, we haven't seen that yet, and I hope they do explain it. But so far, and I'm going to stress this, so far, he seems like he's bad just for the sake of being bad, which is what I wanted. It doesn't seem like he really has ties to anybody yet on Team Arrow. Malcolm did, Slade did, Raish did, but Damien is doing his own thing. Team Arrow's getting in the way, but he doesn't have any relation to them. Now, there's a lot of speculation and a lot of people wanting him to turn out to be Felicity's dad. I don't want that. I just want him to be just his own person who has his own agenda. Forget Team Arrow. He just wants to do what he wants to do. He's not doing it to get back at Oliver. He's not doing it to get back at anybody. He just wants to do what he wants to do, and we'll see. Hopefully, we'll see why he wants to do that coming up. Speaking of Laurel, I mentioned her a few minutes ago. She does look like she's coming to her own, but I did enjoy seeing that she still isn't quite there. Like, she still gets beat up a couple times. She gets thrown down. She gets a gun pointed at her at one point, I think. I like that they didn't use this 6-month, I think it is, the 6-month gap to just show that she's all of a sudden become this awesome fighter. She still takes her licks, and I like that. She is a lot more skilled, but she's still not all the way there yet. And even Thea's the same way. She was trained by Malcolm. She was brought back by the Lazarus Pit, which should have turned her crazy, and we think it might when we see some previews of that coming up. But she gets knocked around a little bit. But I like seeing that they can go out and kick a lot of butt, but it's not without taking a few lumps themselves. I like that. Oliver, he doesn't get knocked around a lot, although he does in this episode, but he's skilled, he's trained, he has lots of years of experience. Thea and Laurel don't. And we see that, and I like that the writers are sticking with that rather than just saying, oh, they've just trained in these last 6 months that we haven't seen them. They're really good now, because they are good, but they can still get better. They still have lots of room for improvement. Some more great role reversal in this episode is that Diggle is the one who knows a little bit more than he lets on. So basically, when Oliver tells the team that it's Damien Dark running this organization, he tells them that Ray should mentioned Hive. And Diggle, that triggered something with him, and it showed a quick little flashback to a season or two ago where Deadshot was telling Diggle about think about who would want to kill your brother, who would want to hire me to kill your brother. Hive. And he mentioned Hive to Diggle. Oliver, and it didn't really occur to me until this episode that Oliver hasn't really heard of Hive. It's Diggle who has heard of it. Oliver asks Diggle, does that mean something to you? And he says, no, it doesn't. So that's a nice reversal too, because it's usually Oliver who is the one who knows more than he lets on, and he doesn't fill the team in, which drives me crazy. Why do you not tell your team, your most trusted allies, everything you know, everything that you've seen on the island or everything that you went through? Why do you not tell your team about that? He did that in this episode too, he recognized Damien's power, and Damien has powers. I haven't mentioned that yet, but he recognized Damien's power. He basically sucked the life force out of one of the guys, but he didn't tell. He said he told the team that he's seen things, but he didn't tell them what. So he's still doing it, even though he doesn't have Diggle's trust right now, but yet he's still keeping him on the outs. But now Diggle is doing that as well. So that's nice that somebody else is in on something, and Oliver isn't necessarily the one who's fully in control of everything anymore. So the flashbacks for this season, so there weren't a lot of them, But we do see Oliver. This is really cool. We do see Oliver trying to be a vigilante in Coast City, but he kind of sucks at it. So he's chasing after a guy who's, I guess he's a drug peddler. He shoots an arrow at him and he misses. The guy shoots guns at him and he drops his bow. Oliver drops his bow and he has to hide. When he tries to take the guy down, he falls off a building, and that's the scene that we saw from the trailer where he falls off and gets his foot stuck in some electrical cords. And Amanda Waller comes in and basically recruits him for a mission, which leads us to a really awesome Easter egg. We do sort of see Hal Jordan, which everybody was kind of wondering if we would, with, you know, being as how Oliver's going to be in Coast City. We do get a glimpse of somebody with the Jordan name on his bomber jacket. That's probably the most Hal Jordan we're going to get this whole series, let alone this season. But that was really cool. That was a nice nod to the fans. That was a nice way to sort of say, hey, we know we're in Coast City. We know what Coast City means to the lore of, to really to the DC universe, and we're going to give you a little something. But I doubt we'll get anything more. But I thought that the entire season's worth of flashbacks were actually going to take place in Coast City, but Amanda Waller is actually recruiting Oliver for a mission back on the island, which he winds up on near the end of the episode. So I don't know. I'm wondering. I kind of think that this is how he winds back up on the island. We've been wondering how he gets back there. Of course, he went out to Hong Kong for last season. But we saw in the very beginning of the series, he gets picked up from the island. So we keep wondering, how does he get back there? I'm wondering if this is it, or I'm wondering if he is just going to do a mission there and Amanda Waller comes and picks him back up. And maybe then he pals around in Coast City for a while. I don't know. They did cast a love interest for Oliver, for flashback Oliver. And there was a lot of speculation on my part as well, thinking that maybe that was going to be Carol Ferris, which would have been really cool. They could do that without showing Hal Jordan. But now that he's back on the island, I wonder if he's just going to stay there and if she's going to be there doing something else. I don't know. We don't even know who the character is yet. So either way, it's cool. I would have liked to have seen him run around Coast City a bit, but if he stays on the island for this season and next, which the end of next season would have been where they picked him up at the beginning of the first season, it's fine, because when they picked him up, he was really grizzled with the beard and the long hair and everything, so that would make sense that he would get it there over the course of a couple years on the island. Maybe that's where he can train more, do more stuff. I don't really know. I don't know what the flashbacks hold for us this season, but I'm excited for it. Can't wait to see where it goes. One of the coolest things is new costume, designed by Cisco. Enough said. This is, I guess, his transformation into the Green Arrow. Of course, we saw the stills way back in the summer. Stephen Amell came out in it at Comic-Con, so it wasn't a surprise, but it was still cool to see it in motion. This is the biggest glance that we've gotten of it yet so far, and everything about it looks great. So speaking of his transformation into Green Arrow, I was kind of wondering how they were going to pull that off, how they were going to sort of explain that away. I kind of thought maybe it would be sort of a play on words with Thea being... I always, even when Roy was around, I wanted it to be something like, well, if there's going to be two of us, we both can't be Arrow. Let's differentiate ourselves. You be red, I'll be green. I thought it was going to be something cool like that, but this was okay, I guess. So basically, at the end of the episode, they take over the emergency frequencies and they broadcast the video to all of Star City, and they basically mention how, or it's Oliver talking to everyone, and he's mentioning how he is going to be the symbol of hope that the Arrow wasn't, because remember, everybody thought that Roy was the Arrow when he turned himself in as the Arrow towards the end of Season 3, and then he gets stabbed and supposedly dies in prison in Season 3, so everybody thinks that the Arrow is dead. So the way Oliver explains this is he's going to be the symbol of hope for the city that the Arrow never could be, and that he is the Green Arrow, and that's kind of how it leaves off. So the speech was good, but I kind of thought that the way he named himself as the Green Arrow was a little hokey. It definitely didn't ruin anything else about this awesome episode for me, but I kind of thought maybe it could be done a little bit better, but it's fine. I mean, we'll get over it. There was even let's see, it was I want to say it was an international trailer for episode 2. I watched it just a little while ago, and there's a scene between Oliver and Captain Lance where he mentions Oliver now calling himself the Green Arrow and how it's cute or something like that. But it's cool to see how we finally get there. I kind of wonder, do people really think, I mean, so sure, the Arrow is supposedly dead, but do people really think that it's not the same guy? Granted, they don't know who it is, but do they really think that it's not just the Arrow in a different suit? And even when Oliver was accused of, in front of everybody and arrested for being the Arrow, it just seems like somebody could put 2 and 2 together at some point, but whatever. It's comic books. Clark Kent wears glasses and nobody knows he's Superman. So, whatever. It's just one of those things that you have to check your brain at the door, and it's fine. It's comic books. That's how they work. So, the end. There's 2 big twists at the end. First off, Captain Lance. Apparently, he's working with Damien Dark and Hive. Why? We have no idea. Now, he doesn't look like he's super happy about it, so don't go thinking that Lance is a bad dude now and he wants to kill everybody. He's not happy about the explosion, or actually, it's Damien that's not happy that the new train station, which I didn't mention, they built a new high-speed rail between Star City and Central City, which is kind of neat. That's going to help bridge those two, the Flash and Arrow, together even more. But Damien wanted to destroy that train station for whatever reason, and Captain Lance mentioned that he's happy that it wasn't destroyed, but that doesn't mean that they're not still working together, and we don't know why. So why, oh why, Captain Lance, are you working with the bad guy? Is it maybe, my theory right now is that maybe he wants to drive masked vigilantes out of the city, and maybe this is how he wants to do it. But I don't know, because it seems like that would be hurting Laurel, which he would never do. He still doesn't seem like he's over all the deception and betrayal from Laurel and everybody else at Team Arrow. I don't really know. It's all speculation at this point. But the other big twist at the end is Oliver. It jumps ahead 6 months. Oliver standing in a grave, and he's really upset. Barry comes running up and says, "Sorry, I couldn't make it to the funeral." Oliver is really distraught, but the question is, who's in the grave? We don't know. You can speculate, and I have some theories. I think I'm going to do a bonus video on who could, or the reasons for and against all of Team Arrow being in the grave. The thing is, the writers have come forward and said they don't know who's in it yet. So they're putting it there as like a placeholder for something bigger yet to come, but they don't know what it is yet. Stephen Amell has left a video on Facebook saying he doesn't know who's in the grave. Nobody knows who's in the grave, not even the writers, but it's still fun to speculate who I think it will be. I'm not going to get into that. Like I said, I want to do a separate video for that. I do think it's going to be somebody either on Team Arrow or maybe sort of related to Team Arrow. Because Oliver was upset. He was so upset. He said he did say something cool. He said that there was a point in time where I would have blamed myself for bringing the darkness, but instead I'm gonna kill him. So who's he gonna kill? We don't know. But I like the fact that even though somebody close to Oliver dies, it doesn't seem like he's going to go back to being this brooding anti-hero that he has been over the last 3 seasons. It doesn't seem like he is going to blame himself, which I like a lot, because the minute I saw that, I was like, oh, great. We're getting to a slightly more lighthearted Arrow. It's not all, light and fun like Flash is, and it shouldn't be. But he's been dark and brooding for long enough. This is a new atmosphere for Arrow, and it doesn't look like we're going to lose that just because somebody gets killed. And again, maybe it's because whoever it is isn't super close to Oliver. I don't know. The biggest theory, the biggest, most obvious one that everybody thinks is Felicity. I personally don't think it's Felicity. Again, I'll get into that in a separate video. It's cool that whatever it is and whoever it is, it doesn't seem like it's going to affect this new outlook that we have, that Oliver has, and that we have with Arrow now. So that's going to be fun to speculate. I don't know if we're going to get more flash forwards, and I wonder if we're going to get more flash forwards like in later seasons, like when we run out of flashbacks, maybe we'll start getting flash forwards. I don't know. That seems more of a Flash thing to do. There's a lot of drinking game on me saying Flash, I guess, but it's going to be fun to speculate on what's going to shake out over the course of the next little while. But overall, this was a fantastic episode. I kind of feel like I left out a bunch of stuff There was just so much in this. A lot of good action, a lot of good story, a lot of good setup for things to come. I loved it. I thought this, whereas Flash Season 1 was better than Arrow Season 3, I thought if we're looking at just episodes for right now, this season premiere of Arrow was much better than the season premiere of Flash. Not to say that the seasons will end up that way, but so far, Arrow is off to an awesome start. I can't wait to see what happens. I'm definitely going to be doing videos for each episode, so to see those, definitely be sure to subscribe by clicking the button below or visit us at youtube.com/nerdpunch to see all that cool stuff. We're also on Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook, all of those /nerdpunch. And of course, there's nerdpunch.com where you can go and see all of the other cool stuff we're posting online, and you can check our schedule for upcoming videos. There is going to be a lot of them. But thanks for watching, guys, and until next time, I'll see you later. Bye.